Hey, this is Craig. If you like this show and you want to support it and you want to keep it free, head on over to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/support. If you're a business owner and you want to increase your cash flow, or if you're a label or artist and you want to promote new music, then listen up. For information about advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, including information on geographically targeted ads, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. If you want to buy or sell a home or investment property and you're here in the Tampa Bay area, in Hillsborough, Pinellas, or Pasco counties, then listen up. West Florida Real Estate is a local residential real estate broker that's helped over 250 Bay Area homeowners buy and sell their properties in the last 4 years alone. If you're looking to sell, you'll want to get their free report, The 7 Biggest Mistakes Homeowners Make When Hiring a Realtor. And if you're looking to buy a property, you definitely want to get your hands on the 21 Most Expensive Mistakes Tampa Home Buyers Make When Buying a Home. Each one of these reports is going to save you time and money. Inside, you'll discover the 7 most important things to consider when hiring a realtor, what to do if you're buying and selling a home at the same time, and the danger of choosing a realtor who agrees with everything you say. To get your hands on these free reports, head on over to westfloridarealestate.com. That's westfloridarealestate.com. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. First of all, I want to show off my new Everyone Loves Guitar t-shirt. That'll be available in the shop soon. There you go. I had to say that. We're with the one and only Matt Stevens today. Matt's lead guitar player and a solo artist from the UK, and his band is The Fierce and the Dead. He's a composer from North London, and as I said, he's the lead guitarist of The Fierce and the Dead besides being a solo artist. Fierce and the Dead are a psychedelic instrumental band from North London. They've been part of the UK's underground, oh, this is a big one, post-rock, psychedelic, progressive, stoner rock scene for the last 9 years. That's a lot of fucking scenes. There were Classic Rock Magazine's Prog Album of the Year in 2018, and 8th in Prog Magazine's Best Albums of 2018, and 11th in Louder.com's Readers List of Best Albums of 2018. They have a really loyal fan base. Their London, they just got back from Germany in a big festival actually yesterday. Their London shows often sell out months in advance, and the band tours constantly. They've released 3 albums, including their most recent album called The Euphoric through BEM Records, alongside multiple EPs and a live mini album. As I said, in 2000, this year, the band played several major festivals, including Freak Valley in Germany and headline shows across the UK. Matt performed as an instrumental solo artist between 2006 and 2015, where he used an acoustic guitar and sampler to create multi-layered tracks live across the UK, opening for Steve Rothery, Mike Keneally, who was on here, John Gomm, Tim Bonus, Colin Edwin, Thomas Lieb, and others. Matt's released 4 solo albums. His 4th solo album is called Lucid, and that was Guitar Player Magazine Editor's Album of the Month. It features guest appearances from members of King Crimson, Knife World, Crippled Black Phoenix, and our man Justin Greaves. And thanks for hooking us up, Justin. Actually, sorry about that. And that album stayed in the Prog Magazine chart for 3 months. If you like prog rock, I listened to it. It's a great record. I love the last song. I was just telling Matt. It's called A Boy. It's a really cool song. Matt was voted 5th in Prog Magazine 2014 Readers Poll for Best Guitarist, alongside, check out these names, Steve Howe, Steve Hackett, Steve Rothery, and Guthrie Govan. And he's also received numerous other UK awards recognizing his guitar playing and musicianship. Matt, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Oh, very glad to be here. Hello.
Hello. Do Americans always say, oh, I love your accent? Is that annoying?
Well, I just try and be polite, really.
All Brits try to be polite, man. When I was there, man, like, first time ever in 93, and my wife's from Dunstable, which is like
yeah, I know Dunstable.
Okay, it's like a small little town, and it was even smaller in 93. And so I remember, which is not to be funny, but you go to England and like, I'm in Dunstable. That was not like my hopes and dreams, right? So
tiny.
Yeah, well, I mean, I should be in London or someplace anyway. But so I'm kind of going crazy there, and my mother-in-law needed a a cord or an extension cord or something, or plug. And I said, hey, Mom, let me go get it, because I just had to get out of the house, right? And so I went down to the shop. It was like a little hardware store. I don't know what you call it there. You know, they sold electrical shit. And,
Yeah, yeah. Hardware store's cool.
this young girl is there, and I walk in, and she's staring at me. And I said, hey, are you okay? And she goes, I love your accent. And it was the first and last time in my life that has ever happened to me. You know, because
It's cool though.
she was in the middle of nowhere. She probably never saw like a live American before, you know. It was just quite funny. Anyway, man.
No, we don't get a lot of that over here. Well, I'm from Northamptonshire, so we don't get a lot over there. So it's like,
really, yeah. Well, I guess in the big cities. Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, here it's fine, but you know,
it was
out there. That'd be the most exciting thing that's ever happened.
It felt like it was for her. I actually felt bad. For her, you know?
Was there a feature in the local newspaper afterwards or anything?
Oh, God. It was this close to spitting the water all over the screen here, man. Oh my God. Anyway, man, tell me the first piece of music that knocked you off your feet.
Okay, the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun. When I was a kid, my dad used to play it. So that's always in there, and it's always that sort of jangly acoustic sort of thing, and I will never forget. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of music, and you know, I still get the same feeling when it instantly takes you back to being a little kid again, which is lovely. You know what I mean? Anything that takes you back to being a kid is magic.
Yeah. I mean, you had no responsibilities. Yeah, that is very
yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. Were you okay? So you started off liking the Beatles. Were you always a fan of prog style music, or did that evolve for you?
It kind of, I mean, I was really into metal when I was a kid. And then I went to a guitar teacher who was really into the Mahavishnu Orchestra and King Crimson and things like that. So that kind of got me into that. I just wanted to learn to play like Guns N' Roses. I thought I wanted to be like Slash. So
sure.
And then he got me into King Crimson and Mahavishnu and things like that, and Alan Holdsworth and all the Flash playing and the funny timings. But I was into like Black Flag and Bob Mould and, you know, Husker Du and that sort of thing. And Nick Drake on acoustic guitar and all that sort of, you know, acoustic guitar stuff as well. So prog was, whilst I love the Mahavishnu and King Crimson, it wasn't my big thing. It was just one of the things that I happened to listen to. And then as I was making albums, it was something that sort of came out in the music really, but it's not my main musical influence or anything like that.
It's certainly not the easiest music to play or listen to. No, you really have to be like,
you have to concentrate. Yeah.
But you have to be an advanced, I think you have to be a little, as a player, you have to be advanced, you know, you can't.
It's a weird one because when I was 15, 16, I used to play guitar all the time. So I used to do 8 hours a day playing the guitar, which kind of set me up for the rest of my life, really. So it's the sort of thing you have to really focus on. But you got to remember, in the early 90s, it was the least fashionable thing you could ever be into, playing in weird time signatures. You know, everyone was like Nirvana, and I love Nirvana. I love the Pixies, and I love those sort of bands, but it wasn't a cool thing to be into. You know, there was Voivod, who were fantastic, and there's Cardiacs.
Good band.
There's bands around like that doing the weird, you know, the more unusual stuff, and Zappa, obviously, and people like that. But it wasn't cool. This wasn't going to impress the ladies. It wasn't going to. No. You were never going to be the cool kid playing prog rock. So, you know, I mean, I was playing in sort of metal bands and then indie rock bands, and I was really into Radiohead. Radiohead, my probably my favourite band. So, you know, who are kind of prog and kind of weird, but they're really ambitious. I think it's not necessarily prog as a label I'm interested in. What I'm interested in, just trying new sounds all the time and making sure I don't get bored and making sure I'm doing things that, you know, are exciting, you know what I mean? Things that I really enjoy.
Well, you have such a high energy level, man, and your enthusiasm as over what you're talking about really comes through, which I think is really cool.
Cool. Do I need to press record at my end, by the way? I'm sorry.
No, you're all good, man. I got it under control. Cool. Yeah, I don't know much. Sorry, this is one of the few things in my wheelhouse.
I'll be honest with you. I've got no idea what I'm doing here. It's like, should I have pressed record?
No, you're good, man. What's really funny is when I have guys on and they have a MacBook, right, and it's about 6 feet away, and there's no headphones or nothing, and you're like, hey man, how you doing? Like, you gotta like either put a mic on or man, just come closer. I'm like,
mate.
you do record in the studio, right? I mean, it's like I don't, but I would.
Have you done this before?
I would. Yeah, I'm like, I don't do that, but I would think the concepts are transferable. Maybe I'm. Anyway,
You'd think.
What was your first big break in? And I said the term music business, but what was your first big break that was sort of like got you to making money, getting paid professionally?
Well, it was very gradual because, like, Prog magazine got interesting. There was basically 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot going on in the UK scene with regards to sort of progressive music or anything like that. And Prog magazine sort of took an interest in what I was doing, which led to me doing sort of support slots. So my job was to go out and there's all these sort of posh prog bands with all this amazing kit. And basically what they wanted was someone who could sound check in 10 minutes and not cause them any bother, be polite, turn up on time and say, thank you, nice to hang out with you. So basically I went out and did loads of that. So I was opening for bands like Barclay James Harvest. So it was all these sort of 70s bands that were still, because there was loads of these bands sort of touring around.
What did you say, Barclay James?
Barclay James Harvest.
They had this like one huge hit. I remember that band.
Yeah. There's loads of them. There's loads of those sort of guys. Fantastic musicians and that. But basically, what one who could just come on with an acoustic guitar and with no sound check and no, as easy as possible to go out and open for them. So I did loads of that. I did Mike Keneally. I did Steve Rothery from Marillion. I did, all those sort of gigs, and I did them for about 5 or 6 years. And basically, I got to know everybody in that sort of proggy sort of scene. And then when we got to the point when we were setting the Fierce and Dead up, we said, hello, there's an ice cream van out there. Oh, I love
That's kind of late in England to be having ice cream, no? Holy crap.
They have to get out because it's the only hot week of the year. So so that was my job, basically. I had to go out and do all this stuff, which was fantastic. And I got to meet so many people, and that got me the record deal with Esoteric. And then I was doing the band stuff at the sort of same time. And then through doing the supporting bands like my mate Jim Godfrey in Frost and Tiny Fish and those sort of bands, which then moved on to us playing with Crippled Black Phoenix and people like that. And then we started going on tour with Hawkwind. We did the Hawkwind tour. And all those, which was amazing. They're such cool guys, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was all a very gradual thing that we got to know more and more of these bands. So we toured like, did 4 dates with Hawkwind. We did, all these sort of shows with all these sort of quite legendary bands. And then eventually we ended up playing to like, we got onto the festival circuit, and then we played from everybody from, we did Crippled Black Phoenix and stuff, but we also did Dillinger Escape Plan and all those sort of really heavy metal bands and stuff, and ended up playing, who else did we play with? White Snake and like, and
did you really?
Madness, a rock band, yeah.
So you opened for White Snake?
This was called Ramblin' Man Festival. So White Snake. Yeah,
I know that because the Kentucky Headhunters were there last year.
Exactly, yeah, and like so, they're us Hawkwind. Who else was playing? But yeah, it was all those sort of this sort of legendary bands. But then through all this sort of work I'd done building it up, we ended up opening that festival, and that was a weird one because there was no one there, but no one else was playing in the entire festival. It's a massive festival with 3 stages, and we were the opening act. And we ended up playing to must have been like 4,000 people there. It went down really well, and it's like because we were playing this really weird sort of indie instrumental stuff, we thought no one's going to be bothered about this. We'll be fine. We'll just go and have a couple of beers and enjoy ourselves. Right. But actually, people were really into it, and we were so surprised. You sort of don't expect that sort of the average White Snake fan's going to go for it, but it was a really great reaction, and people were so cool and so nice to us. So all these little things have sort of added up into a sort of little sort of culty sort of fan base for the band, which is amazing. So it keeps us all going, and that's that really loyal audience is just fantastic. So I've been very lucky.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that, because I think in any business, people seem to think it's like, well, I did this one thing and all of a sudden everything blew up.
I wish.
You do hear that like once in like 10,000 stories. But and I've been working for myself 20 years. I've been a consultant. I've worked with literally hundreds of clients, and it's not like that. It's always a series of, and I built things myself. It's always a series of small, incremental sort of you know, things that you just got to keep at it, and it just slowly builds and builds and builds. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it was just each thing we did, we were nice to people and reliable, and you know, we created a good vibe in the room, and each thing we did, we met more people, and you know, 90% of the music industry is being able to wait around, be on time, and also be a good person to hang out with, and that's a big deal. It's the if you're going to get one key thing, it's not being the flashiest guitarist, it's not being are you on time? Are you nice? Do people want to hang out with you? Do people want to be on a bus with you for 8 hours? It's all that stuff.
Yeah. No, very much. And I hear this.
They're the actual skills.
Yeah, but I hear this consistently. Everybody I talk to, no matter where their country, what their native language is, that's the real deal. Are you on time? Are you want to be with you? Absolutely.
Yes. Because you know, there's so many arseholes around the music industry as well. You know, it's just.
You know, I've been really fortunate, and I think it's because most of the time I get referred to other people. I haven't, and again, it's different when someone's talking to me, but I really haven't had, with very rare exception, haven't had any of that experience. I've been really fortunate, and I have heard that there are a lot of guys that are kind of dicks, but
to be honest, in the bit we're in, there's not a lot of it about, because most of the bands we've played with are either bands that have, you know, they've seen it, done it. You know, it's like you go and tour with Hawkwind. They've been doing it for like 50 years, haven't they? Right. Nothing's going to worry or impress them. You know, it's just you know, they're cool as, you know what I mean? People like that. It's just, you know, and like Justin, people about Phoenix, he's been doing it a long time as well. And they, you know, people like they know they're not going to deal with any crap. You know what I mean? But as long as you're kind, easy to hang out with, they're fine. You know, it's just we've never had any problems really.
That's awesome, man. So, what's the advantage? Because both of you, as a solo artist, and the Fierce and the Dead are labels. Is there an advantage to that in today's music environment?
It's ever evolving is the answer. At the moment, one of the things that's hard to manage is the volume of physical product, and the guys at BMM have been very kind to us and very supportive, and we couldn't ask to be with kinder. And the guy who runs it's a mate, he's a really nice dude. We just keep looking at every few years, see how it's going to progress. And you know, the people who buy our records, they like physical products, so it's not gone completely Spotify yet, so which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, man. We
have a small audience who buy everything, so you know, if we can sell like 1,000 physicals of everything, we know that's the recording covered, and you know what I mean, that's the game, you know what I mean. It's like, if you know you've got those numbers as safeties, so we don't make a lot of money from it, but if you can do it so it just balances the books and everything's working okay, that's fine with me, because we can keep doing it. You know, it's a very difficult thing to sort of to see where it's going to be in even a couple of years' time, because recently we just did this festival in Germany and we sold out of vinyl. We bought boxes of vinyl, they sold out immediately.
So CDs, you bring merch to every event.
Every event.
You have a merch person.
Yeah. Our friend does it, and then we go and sign and make friends and shake hands and say thank you to all the people who buy the stuff, because I think it's important to make friends with people.
Absolutely.
And because you're old, you know, no one owes you anything. You got to show that you're there to hang out and be cool. And we sold loads. We did well on T-shirts, well on vinyl. We sold 2 CDs, which is just like,
wow.
Makes you think that CDs on the, I know.
That's crazy. So you got to figure that the people that listen to digital, they're streaming.
Yeah, we used to do really well on downloads. We used to sell like 300 or 400 downloads of each album, which was, you know, that's free money basically. So which is fantastic. But that's all moved to streaming now. That money's not there anymore. So that takes, you know, a couple of grand off the table straight away. Which is in this game is, you know, it's very tight. So that's quite a little bit to lose. So, but you have to offset that against that Spotify has a built-in recommendation engine, so that Spotify will recommend your music to other people via its algorithm. So it's not a complete washout. So whilst you aren't making the money, more people are discovering you, and then you'd hope they'll eventually buy vinyl or come to gigs. So you have to sort of see it both ways. The music industry, there's a lot of doom and gloom about the music industry, about streaming and stuff. And I think you have to sort of look at the music industry as an ever-evolving thing. And every sort of 10 years, everyone sort of sits around and goes, oh, it's all over. It's all ruined now. We're all going to die. And this has been going on since the 70s. You know, so it's been going on since every sort of 10 years. There's a evolutionary leap in either technology or musical style that causes things to really change. And you have to sort of try and think, well, you know, I used to work in record shops for years, and I used to watch how it all worked. And I still, you know, I saw the transition from tape to CD to and then back now. And who'd have thought back then we could be back on vinyl again?
Vinyl, I know.
Yeah. And I'm sitting, you know, I was signing records, signing vinyl all weekend. And it's just like, well, this is bizarre. But you think if people can get music streaming without having to, they want that experience of physically holding a vinyl, whereas the CD hasn't got that romanticism to it. I don't think that's got that sort of, you know what I mean? I like CD because I was the generation that moved from vinyl to CD. Sure. And I think CDs are cool, but I can't remember the last time I played one.
Right.
So, you know, I tend to stream music most of the time. Yeah. I like CD packaging. I like holding it, but you know what I mean? It's like, are we at that point where I genuinely don't know. I hope it isn't, because I hope to sell more CDs, and CDs are a much better format to do short run things on, like live albums.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to do a few,
it's a lot cheaper to press a CD than a vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's totally, yes. So CDs are a much better format for that. But I don't really know, to be honest. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. It's interesting that I think you have a great attitude about this whole thing. That, I mean, look, you can't change it anyway.
No.
So
it's not going to change. So you've got to roll with it. You've got to work out what you've got to do, and what it's like. And like I say, you know, you're a business person, so you know your business model's got to evolve every few years, hasn't it? So that's the key to it. You've got to work out. There's got to be a way around it. There's always a way. So if you're not selling CDs, right, you make the best T-shirts, you make the coolest hats, you make the coolest mugs. You know what I mean? You make it happen by working out the other way around it. And I think that's the key to it. You know, how many people have bought Black Flag T-shirts versus bought Black Flag CDs? I would imagine. How many people have bought Misfits T-shirts more than CDs?
Yeah, man.
There's always a way. There's always a way to make it work. And I just won't be beaten.
Where'd you, man, you have a great attitude. Where did you get that? Were you always like that?
I've got more positive over the years because it just doesn't work to sit around and be miserable about stuff.
Ain't that the truth, man?
It just doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's like if you're going to install an operating system on your brain, why would you install one that doesn't work? Yeah. So you have to go with what's. It's true, isn't it? So
no, it's very true. But you're like,
if I sit around and bemoan the death of CD, it's not going to get anywhere. It's not going to make it any better. I can't fix that. So I need to work out the next way to make it work. You know what I mean? And so, but I know bands that are building cult fan bases online, and then arranging a weekend for their fans. Like mate, mine's band, you know, they did a gig, one-off show, and they got 800 people there. You know, in London. That's
who did that?
Incredible. A big train. That's
really cool. So are you guys going to do the same thing?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the model we're moving to, is where we get more sort of
almost like a large meetup.
Yeah, totally. I think that's the thing. You know, YouTubers have meetups.
Yeah. I've seen.
YouTubers there, and like the YouTube, and I think you need to look at what the guys on YouTube are doing. You need to look like my little boy who's 7 loves a guy called Dan TDM. Right, and Dan TDM sells all the merch. Dan TDM's got a book. You know, I mean, I think that's more the way to look at things rather than saying, you know, the music industry's dead. I just think we need to evolve the model, cut out as many middle people as we can.
Yes.
And engage with, you know, the audience to the point where you can work out, you know, the things that they might want, but whilst retaining your music integrity and not making the music for them, making it for yourself. So it's always a balance, because the complete sellout is to go try and give the fans what they want. But then again, people will soon get bored of you do that, because you've got no integrity. So you have to make the music that, you know, comes from your heart, the music that makes the hairs on your arm go up, because that's what it's all about. It's what it's about. That's why I listen to a Mahavishnu Orchestra record, or a Nick Drake record, or a Napalm Death record, or Cardiac's record, because it gives you that magical feeling when you listen to it. And it's like, and if you lose that, you've had it. So you make sure it can't be all about business. It's got to be about the music. It's got to be the music's got to come first in everything you do. So It's a weird thing.
No, it's great. I think everything you're saying is great, man. You have a lot of integrity about it. Do you build your email list at your
Yeah, man, totally. Yeah, the email is the focus of everything
so
we do.
important. Yeah, that has to be
So,
so important. People, how do you build it? Because everybody, you probably got some good ideas because we got thousands of musicians listening.
Bandcamp is the main sales platform. So we get the company to give the email addresses back to us, so we've got about 4,000 or 5,000 people on that list now.
That's
so
great.
We've been building it up, and the more we can build that, because I know you can sort of roughly look at that as a percentage of that will probably buy most things. So if you've got 5,000 on the list, you probably guarantee yourself you're going to do probably 1,000 physical stuff, 800 to 1,000 on pre-order, and then you're into the proper sales phase. But it's like I say, I can talk about all this stuff as well, but me as an artist, it's completely useless with this sort of thing, because I want to make the record. I could make by the numbers prog rock records, and they would probably sell 3,000 or 4,000 copies, and they probably do really well. But I don't care about that as an artist. I just want to make really weird records that make my arms hair go up. I just want to make records that excite me. Yeah. And if that's going to be a down-tuned death metal record, or a record that sounds like Boards of Canada, or a folk album, I don't care. I just want to make the records I want to do. But
I think that's why you're, I don't.
You've always got the music's got to lead everything. The music and the integrity's got to always be there.
How do you build your email list at your events?
Yeah. So you can have. We've been slack on this actually. We need to get better at this, but we need to get everyone signing up on the board as well. So that's another thing we need to do more of. So. There's always more things you can do. I mean, some people have an iPad app and all that sort of thing, but I think a pen and paper will do the trick as well. So we normally have a pen and paper. We didn't do it this weekend. We should be.
Can you do like a giveaway? Like, can you say everybody sign up and one person will win tickets to the festival you're at this weekend next year?
And I thought about doing it as well. So with unique items. So anything that's unusual or something that's
just free tickets to the show next year, even
free tickets, anything like that. So anything to incentivize that sort of buy-in is useful. So because those emails are just worth so much money to us,
well, that's the thing. If you incentivize with something good, you'll get genuine email addresses too.
Defo, yeah. And I think that's really important. So anything to keep building it. I mean, we're not looking to grow things quickly. It's just gradually and it's people sort of, I think the long-term plan is just to keep growing it and to keep getting a few more people into it every few months, and then to treat the people who like the music with utter respect and say thank you and make it so that we have a Facebook fan group that's got like 4,000 people in it, and it's all about just talking and just having a laugh and making that a fun place.
You're good in there. You're good in that group because I'm in it. You invited me in, and I liked it right away. And
cool, man. And it's
but you're good in there. I see the. I know the work, but there's work involved, and I see what you're doing, totally. And it's not like people don't realize it's work involved, man. You can't just like set up a group and if you build it, they will come. That's fucking movies.
It doesn't work.
No, that's you got to actually go do something and get on there and talk and get people involved. And you're always asking questions, which is the best way to get people engaged, of course.
Yeah, I mean, and also I like hanging out with people in there, and it means a lot to me that anyone's even vaguely interested in the weird stuff we do. So I'm just really pleased that people are into it. So
yeah, but that comes across,
if you don't treat people well, you're not entitled to anything in this world. You're not entitled to anything. You're people are into it. You just got to be there for them and hang out with them. And we've been doing this thing. The last few gigs we've done in London, they've sold out. The last London show sold out in 4 hours. And it's like 6 months in advance.
Dude,
it's like, but it just shows. It's mad because the people are into it, are really into it, and they just want to. And then we did the show and we were hanging out with the guys from the forum as well, and they're just really cool people. They're lovely, and we really value them as much as they value the experience of being with. We think the world of them. It's just we couldn't be more appreciative. So. And I think all four of us really enjoy that relationship with the guys who come to the shows, and it's more black than a fan relationship. That's not a we just enjoy hanging out with those guys. You know what I mean?
Do you know Black Cherry Smoke?
Yeah, man.
Those guys,
they've worked really hard, haven't they? Whoa,
they've worked really hard on their fan base. They have like little, they've really worked hard. And I interviewed both guitar players, Charlie and Paul, and that's a perfect story. You know, Charlie told me a story of they played to a crowd of 0 one time, and they're in the middle of like fucking New Mexico or someplace that was just like they didn't want to be, and they literally played to 0 people. And you know, people, again, that goes back to, you know, people think this happens overnight, man. Oh, they were nothing, and now no, it was not overnight, man. And so I think everything you're doing is, I think people definitely pick up on your vibe of gratitude, man. And I think people feel very good about that.
But I think one of the other things is bands take a lot longer to break now because no one's investing in them. Because there's no quick win.
No record department money.
No, exactly. Yeah, there's no money to make it. There's no record companies going to be investing in bands like what we do. And it being even at the most optimistic, it's always going to be for a very niche audience. But I'd rather have a niche audience that's really into it and supports us than have a casual audience that will buy things. You know, who'll just be there shortly. And people are with us. A lot of them have been with us for years and years and years now. So
that's really cool. Oh, that's awesome, man.
But I'm just very grateful they're interested. I really am.
Hey, where are you originally from?
Northamptonshire.
Where is
the
that?
middle of nowhere?
Is it Midlands?
Midlands, yeah.
I love the names. Northamptonshire. Everything sounds like so
it's like Middle Earth,
royal. You know, you know. It's like
it's the middle of nowhere. It's equidistant between Birmingham and London.
Oh, okay.
So it was the thing about it was a town where there was nothing to do apart from being in a band, and so me and my friends who eventually evolved into the band I'm in now, we all moved down to London in the end, but we all came from there, and we just
cool. All of you used to, like,
all of us came. Wow. All from school, yeah. So, and we all ended up moving to London because there's nothing to do in Mersham. Mersham's a cool place, but it's not. You know, if you want to grow up, bring up a family, and I think I'd be fine living there now, but at the time it was like.
What's the name of the town? Spell that town.
Rushden. Rush.
Yeah, Ton.
D-E-N.
Oh, D-E-N. Rushden. Okay, yeah.
And there was just nothing there to do, so it was all about hanging. You know, there was one pub we used to hang around it, and because there wasn't lots of musicians, people into different music always hang out together. So there'd be a metal band, there'd be a psychedelic band, there'd be a punk band, and we'd all be hanging out together playing funk and jazz rock records because there was only so few of us into music. We all sort of hung out together. So that's why when we talk about our band having all these sort of
you got all this influence.
Yeah, but it's not because we're cool kids. It's just because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So you'd have Black Flag, Van Halen, Mad Vision Orchestra, and all together because there was nothing. There was no. If we went into separate scenes, there'd only be 2 people at each show. So we all went to each other's shows. So I'd be there watching a psychedelic band who sounded like Hawkwind, or like a band that sounded like the Pretty Things, or Jason Faulkner, like jazz rock stuff, or someone who's playing Zappery stuff. But because there were so few of us, we all had to go and see each other's bands, or we wouldn't have had an audience at all. So that diversity. It wasn't like we were cool kids listening to lots of eclectic stuff. We didn't have a choice. It was just there was our friends who all into different music, so we ended up all listening to different stuff. So it was cool. It was really educational, but
it was cool.
It wasn't. It was it was an interesting place to grow up. But I think if I'd lived in London, I would have probably just hanged out with the metal kids, and I would have never heard any of these different records and stuff. You know what I mean?
So it turned out to be a plus.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, probably why it took till I was 29 before anyone listened to any of the bands I was in, because it was so diverse musically. But I think, I suppose it allowed us, when we moved to London, it kind of stood out because we didn't just sound like everybody else.
Do you still have family up in Rushden?
Yeah, me and my dad live there. Yeah, so I still go and see him all the time. It's great. Yeah.
How far away is that from where? How many?
100 miles from London. So it's get a train up. It's far.
It's like 6 hours in your traffic, man, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Well, and also people in America, they're used to traveling long distances all the time. Whereas the roads are no good here, and you have to get a train.
Everything is like like here you can pretty much go in a straight line. There it's like,
oh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, man, it's not easy.
You get a train. It's a lot further. Yeah.
I like the train system. I remember going on the trains. They're pretty cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it kind of works.
Really efficient. Well, plus I grew up
Yes.
in the Bronx, man. It's a lot nicer than the trains in New York City in the 70s. That's the last time.
That sounds pretty exciting to me. Bronx in the 70s, exciting.
Exciting in a wrong way, though, in a bad way.
Well, I suppose so, but it's a bit more exciting than where I come from.
What kind of work did your folks do up there?
My dad was a butcher, and my mum was worked in a secretary. So they were very, very. No one was into music. They're lovely people, my mum and dad, but they were, they were just regular people. So there's no one was in. There's no one who was a musician. No one was into it. No one would have become a musician in our family. It just wasn't something we did. So God knows where I got that daft idea from.
How'd you get into music? Were they supportive?
Yeah, they were lovely. Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
they couldn't. They were just sort of. I think they're just more bemused why I wanted to do that, but they were lovely. Yeah, couldn't have been kinder to me. But it was, it was a bit weird. I mean, I just wanted to do something that would get me out of Rushden, get me out of just being in a small town all the time, and because I always had this idea that there was more to life than just working in this one town and being there forever. But as I've got older, I mean, I appreciate it's a nice place to bring up kids now, and it's you realise when you get older, these small towns are quite nice places to hang out. But when you're young and you want to see a bit of the world, it's probably not the place to be because you want to get out and do stuff. So,
so you'd be going back to Rushden in 20 years? Is that what you're saying?
I'd quite happily retire there. But the other thing is the internet now, so you're not cut off. But in those days, if you want to hear the Dead Kennedys or King Crimson, you have to get a train to London and buy a record.
Right.
But now I can stick in Spotify and put Frank and Christ on or Red or whoever. You know what I mean? It's like because there was no opportunity to hear weird music. There was apart from unless somebody had a tape and they sort of swapped it around. So you have a tape with Public Enemy on one side, Europe on the other, or something. It's like, well, this will do. It's because there's nothing else. So it's like, what a Public Enemy. I mean, when I was at school, people were into thrash metal, and the cool kids were into thrash metal and or any metal because there wasn't a lot of metal about or hip hop. So that was the only sort of styles of music the cool kids are into. So like I say, you'd have Europe on one side and Public Enemy on the other. It was a very strange place to grow up.
It is wild. It's funny what you said about small towns, because I grew up in New York City, and I never really, and I don't think anybody that grows up in New York City, we're very ethnocentric, like we think this is the whole world. But when I left, and as I've gotten older, I do appreciate the value of a small town because it's warmer. Excuse me. It's there's less stressful things in your life. And as you get older, as you know, you get that less stress becomes more of a priority to you.
Because the pace of life's a lot slower, isn't it? So
well, just little simple things. You don't have to worry about parking your car on different sides of the streets. I mean, nobody thinks about that. But you live in the city, you got to think about that all the time, or the elevator breaking down or getting robbed or shit like that. Who the hell wants to deal with that stress?
It's a very different thing. It's a completely different way of living. But so it was a bit of a culture shock when I eventually moved down to London 19 years ago. So moving down here was a culture shock. But I think it was at the time, if you wanted to be involved in music, you had to be in London. Whereas now, I think with the internet, I think you can possibly get away with being in the small town and interacting with people online. But at the time, that just wasn't. You just couldn't do it. There's no way you could do that.
But you still can't play in a small town.
No.
You still need to get out and play with other people.
I think what did me good was being down here and someone being able to phone me up on Tuesday night late and then go, we need you Wednesday. Like, all right, I'll be there. You know what I mean? Or,
cool.
And so I ended up being the sort of go-to support guy for that reason. I think that was I couldn't have done what I did then now, doing that when I was in Northamptonshire, because you have to be there sometimes that night, someone's sick, we need a support act. I'll be there in half an hour. And that's what I used to do.
That's great.
I was always available because I knew that work ethic would eventually pay off in terms of just getting to meet people. And I used to get printing out flyers and put flyers in the queues for gigs and stuff. And doing that, I eventually met the guys who, all the journalists. I used to talk to all the journalists because I gave them all flyers.
Oh, cool.
They got to know the journalists. So, and then eventually people will go to me. I got a spare on the guest list. Do you want to come in? And then I started, and before I know, I was hanging out with people sort of backstage, and because I was going in with a journalist and the people I got to know through flyering,
That's
all
so
that
cool.
shaking hands. It's weird. I mean,
No, but let me tell you, just to give, you probably know this about yourself. You are you just come across as such a like happy, eager guy, man. Like anybody like would love to just because you bring like so much positive energy, man. You're just like, who the hell doesn't? I mean, that's the ideal. I mean, to me, I want to be around only people like that. Like, because like it's so happy. It's just relaxing. It's fun. It's easy. There's no, it's a breeze, man. Just like that negative shit just sucks the life out of you, man.
Like I say, you ain't got time, have you? It's like,
no,
it's really not that time. We haven't got that. Life is short. You haven't got long. You have to stay positive because you got to get stuff done.
Yeah, but you have that attitude, which is great. Not everybody acts like that, or not everybody feels that way. It's like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, we all have days when we're not like that. But,
of course.
But yeah, it's like we're doing that. I was just so focused on building those relationships, and yeah, it kind of worked. And I got to know so many people in the scene, and it just sort of gradually built up from there. But I think every interaction you make with people, but the other thing is you can't go around being fake with people as well, because that doesn't get you anywhere either. You've got to be yourself, and you've got to, like I say, it's that thing of having that integrity, because if you try and pretend to be something you're not, you also had it. So it's a very difficult thing to sort of, I think you just got to go.
You just got to be comfortable with yourself. I think if you got, it's easy to do if you're comfortable with yourself. If you're not, then it's tough for anybody,
But I think I really wanted to do it, and I think if you want something, you'll go for it, wouldn't you? So,
man, I'm so happy for you, man.
Thanks, mate.
Let's get dark for 1 minute. Any low points? Speaking of so fucking happy, any low points or dark periods you've had to deal with?
I wasn't very well last year, which is a bit rubbish. I had a form of cancer, which is a bit crap.
Holy shit, you okay?
So yeah, I'm all right now. But at the time, it was a bit scary, and I had a tube. It all got sorted out in the end. But it was heavy, and and if anything, it's made me more positive, and it's made me more. I'm not having that. I'm going to crack on, and it's made me more. It just makes me value each day more than it did before. It was a crap thing to have happen to me, but I didn't really talk about it much at the time. And I'm fine with talking about it now because it's in the past. But at the time, it's scary. I mean, especially when you got a wife and kids. You know what I mean? It's going to be scare anybody, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? But I'm fine with talking about it. But at the time, I didn't mention it in the Facebook group. I didn't mention it to anybody because I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen here, and I didn't want to sort of worry anybody. And the new album had just come out the month before. I cancelled one gig to go and have his surgery. And then the week after that, I was on tour with Hawkwind. So it's like, I couldn't drink any alcohol. I was on tour with like the legendary sort of 1970s hedonist Hawkwind. And I couldn't even have a beer. It was like, oh my God, that was the worst.
That's so funny. You're okay. If you're comfortable talking about, how did you find out about it? How did you felt something?
And I went and got it checked out, and it's the scariest thing, man. It's like, but thankfully I live in a country with the NHS. They fixed me up. I had the surgery within 2 weeks. Turned it all around, and I have to go back for treatment every few months. But
for they run your blood markers.
They do. They do the treatment and that, and it's not very nice. It's pretty horrific. But if anything, it just made me really value my life more, and really realise just how lucky I am. I've got a 7-year-old son and my wife, and I just value the time I have with them. And and every time we do a gig with a band, I think, well, I could have lost all this. You know what I mean? This could have been the last one. And every gig I've ever done since then, I think this could be the last one. I've got to make sure I go on there with a smile on my face and I put everything into the performance I can possibly do, because this might be that I might not get another chance. I might wake up tomorrow and it might come back, and I can't let that happen. I've got to, make sure that, and I look after myself a lot more. I'm a lot fitter now. I don't drink. I lost a load of weight, not through being ill, but I lost a load of weight by going to the gym and taking myself out. And I think that was the only sort of, I had to do that, and I lost, quite a bit of weight and stuff, and I just feel loads better. And it's like, but that attitude of I wouldn't let it break me. I wouldn't let it, You know, I wasn't going to, I weren't going to give up.
Yeah, man. I'm really happy to hear that everything worked out. Just to give you an optimism.
Had a few dark moments.
I mean, you know, just to give you some optimism, my wife had cancer in '98, and now it's almost 2008. You know, it's 20 something years, thank God. So, you know, you do hear positive.
I hear so many stories though, since I've told people so many stories like that. So anybody who ever gets it and just thinks that's the end, it's not the true, is it? And I'm so pleased for your missus. That's lovely, man. That's so cool.
Dude, yeah, you have no idea.
It shows you, doesn't it? And but there's thousands of stories like that. There's, you know, there's people who, but I always thought if you got that, you'd had it. I thought that was the end. But
well, I don't know how you can. It's hard not to, especially when you're young. She was only like 36, so we were young too, and you were young when you got it. So I mean, it's like when you get it young, it's a, you know, when you get it when you're 75, it's like, well, it's probably not going to be as fast growing, and you got some time here. When you're young, it's like, fuck, man, you got to turn up the jets on everything to you know, so I'm pleased for you, man. I'm really.
But ironically, I'm fitter now than I was a year ago, and I feel really good. So,
hey, let me tell you something about. No, but let me tell you something about that. If you stay with that, you're going to have so much of a better life, because I've been exercising. I'm 55 and I've been working out maybe 30 years, man. And not that I'm in some like great, I mean, I think I'm in pretty good shape, but for my age, but like, I don't have any, I can do stuff.
Yeah, man. Totally.
You know, I mean, I got aches and pains in knees and joints like everybody else does my age, but I do stuff, you know, and I look at like people I went to high school with, and I see them on Facebook. I'm like, good God, man.
Life's you only get one go at this, and you've got to really maximize everything. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, man. So that fitness part is definitely going to benefit you long term, for sure.
Yeah, totally. I feel loads better, mate.
Hey, let's talk about gear. And I'm so happy for you. Everything worked out, man.
Thanks, man. That's really kind of you. Thank you.
Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. Guitar wise, what are you playing now? What's your number one? And
so I've got a Telecaster that I've put bare knuckles pickups in the front. It's a Mexican Tele. It's not a flash guitar at all, but I could throw it around on stage. And I tune to weird tuning, which is normal tuning with a drop C or a drop B at the bottom. So the E strings. So it's the Easter Boney E B G D A, and then drop C at the bottom. So
wow! So it's regular tuning except for the bottom. That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, which is C or B. Sometimes I've got B, sometimes I've got C.
What do you do that for? Why?
It means it just sounds a lot heavier, and it means I can. A lot of those sort of, you listen to a lot of sort of really heavy bands, and they're tuned to tune everything down to C or everything down to D.
Yes.
But with this tuning, I can. I've got the. I can still bend things normally, and I can still do those really sort of tight parts I want to do at the top of the neck, you know, and the top strings, and then on the lower E, I can do that really sort of grindcore-y stuff if I want to. So it gives me lots more options, really. So I can do a lot do a lot heavier stuff as well, really.
Did you take guitar in school, or are you all self-taught? Or
I had lessons from a guy called Richard Beaumont, who is a jazz rock guitarist, who was a massive inspiration to me as a younger chap. And he was basically played like John McLaughlin and Alan Holdsworth. So he's that kind of dude. He was the best guitarist, one of the best guitarists I've ever heard or seen. But he lived in Hyme Ferris in Northamptonshire, so no one had ever really heard him. So he taught me to play in like nines and sevens, or really odd timings all the time, and play really out there chords. And he was really, you know, he wasn't playing the blues scale over GCD was not going to cut it with this guy. He didn't take any prisoners, and I had lessons with him probably 6 or 7 years, once a week. So he was the guy.
That's a heavy commitment, man.
Yeah. he was like a guru of weird guitar stuff. So he was the person who got me into playing, you know, chords that are unusual, and, you know, not just playing power chords, but playing unusual extended jazzy chords was how he got me into it, really. So he was a pretty important guy in my life.
That's fantastic, man. Interesting you're playing a Tele. I wouldn't, but you know, maybe not, because I've talked to a lot of guys that play sort of off-kilter music, and they do play tellies now that I think about it.
They're just because they're so straightforward as guitars, and you can just really customize them. Like they'll take any sort of, you can put a humbucker in the front of them, you can put them into unusual tunings.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with them that, and you can throw them across the room, and you can take them on tour, and they won't fall to bits.
Right.
You know, and, the other guitar I've got Share Gold, which is a British guitar from the 1970s.
Spell that. I never heard of that.
SHER.
Yeah.
GOLD. They've just started making them again, actually, and the guys are in touch with me about me doing an endorsement with them. But I've not had a chance to. Which would be lovely.
Model.
Well, just to use their guitars, which is lovely of them. I mean, it's very kind of them. So I'll have to have a proper look at them. But the original ones are really cool. Sort of. Who was a famous person? Joy Division used them, and
what was his name?
Genesis used them. Genesis used them as well. Mike Rutherford used them in Genesis.
Okay, sorry, I had a brain fart. Yeah.
But so not that I'm a particular Genesis fan. I respect Genesis, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. But yeah, they say this sort of old guitars, and then I've got a nice acoustic, an Alden acoustic, and I'm an endorsee for Alden, so which is really cool. They're really cool guitars. They're just really posh UK made acoustic guitars that I use and everything, and they're really lovely to use.
You have a lot of boutique luthiers there that are making guitars now, just like here in the States.
It's the golden age. If you want it's like effects pedals as well. If you want weird effects pedals or weird guitars, now is the best time ever to be alive, because there's people making stuff that's they're only making 10 of them or whatever, or they're only making a few of them, or they're making customs. So it's a really good time to be into like the unusual sort of guitars where, you know, years ago, if you went into Denmark Street, you know, Denmark Street in London, which was it's awesome down there. But it's not hardly any there. They've got rid of most of it now. It's really sad. Yeah, loads of the shops are gone now. But you used to go in there, and it used to be just Fenders and Ibanez's for the heavy metal kids, and
Gibsons.
Gibsons, yeah, and that was it. You know, there'd be hardly anything else. But now the range is just incredible. So, there's so many custom guitars. You know, I remember when Paul Reed Smith came in the early 90s, but ever since then, it's evolved more into the custom guitars. And if you want, and in terms of effects pedals as well, if you want just the most esoteric, strange guitar pedals, you can get them in just walking off the street in Denmark Street. They've got loads of that sort of thing. And I love weird guitar pedals. I'm a massive weird guitar pedals person. So, you know, it's just like
what's some kooky effects that you have?
There's one called the Count to Five, which is
Count to Five.
Count to Five. What she does is it kind of loops, but it creates like lo-fi distorted loops, and you can't quite put it in time. It's really weird. I don't know. I don't really know what it does. But what it does is really, really cool. There's various. I like a lot of stuff that's sort of like vibratory sort of effects. And also, I'm not particularly snobby about the gear I use. Zoom do this pedal as well, which is like cheapest, you know, not non-boutique pedal, but they do this pedal and you can program it and stack up effects. Called Zoom G2, the recent one, and you can stack up effects on it to create these sort of. I really like a band called Boards of Canada, and they're like an electronic band, and I'm always trying to get my guitar to sound like the synths and Boards of Canada records. I've got a thing about it, so, and you can just stack up the DSP effects to create those sort of sounds, and you know, anything that I can get to just make it sound more interesting. I don't really care about it being perfect. I want interesting. And that's kind of my job in the band, is to try and, we haven't got a singer, so someone has to make the interesting sounds. So it's that's my job basically. So, and I'm constantly looking for things that make interesting sounds. You know.
There's a couple of guitarists here in the States. I don't know. Do you ever follow Nels Klein?
He's awesome. I love him.
I had him on the show. He's a master.
Oh, what's he like?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He actually has had a lot of tragedy in his life. He's had a lot of hard, you know, like I'd say a lot, you know, more than his fair share, put it that way. Very sweet guy, brilliant, intellectually brilliant.
Guitar player.
He's like a library of the history of any kind of music from like the late 60s on up. Him and his brother's a drummer, and That's, they were kind of like nerdy kids. They didn't sort of fit in, and all they did was obsess and digest music. And
they did a cover of John Coltrane's Ascension album together, which is the most
Nels and his brother. That's so fun.
Yeah, just the most mad thing to cover. But then he does Wilco, which is the really melodic, beautiful playing. So he's amazing. That's the sort of level of the aspiration for someone like me, just to be able to walk in the shadows of someone who, at that level. You know what I mean? He's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good awesome. That you know of him. That's good.
He's awesome.
Anybody that influences your playing that people would be surprised to hear?
I mean, very little prog. I mean, I love Robert Fripp, but and John McLaughlin, but more like Bob Mould I really like, from Husker Du and Sugar and that. He's probably my favourite guitar player. But I like Randy Rhoads and the guys from Iron Maiden and those sort of guys. And Nick Drake I really like, the acoustic guy, and
that guy was so intense, man.
Yeah, just and those really clever chords and stuff. I love all that sort of thing. So very little prog. I mean, it's before basically prog found me. I was putting stuff on the internet, and this guy, my mate, who's since become a friend, a guy called James, found my music online and started spreading it around the prog community. And I thought, oh, this is great. I like a bit of this. Because I was never really into that scene. I didn't know there'd really been a prog resurgence. I didn't know about Stephen Wilson. I didn't know that Porcupine Tree was still going. I didn't know about any of that stuff. I discovered it in about 2010. Although I'd seen Porcupine Tree and bands like that. I knew it was about in the 90s, but I didn't know there was...
Stephen Wilson's stuff, to me, is totally different than Porcupine Tree, I think.
Yeah, he's done loads of different sort of stuff. I mean, he's someone I really respect in terms of what he's done. I mean, phenomenal guy. What a talent.
Yeah.
And in terms of he's somebody who's just worked at it. That's
just toured here like last winter throughout the whole States, I'm pretty sure.
And each year he's gained a few more fans, and he's retained his integrity, and he's I think that's the key to it. He's somebody, he makes a lot of records.
Yes.
He works and he relentlessly gigs, and I think that's the attitude you've got to have if you want to keep building it up. He's brilliant.
Have you ever gigged in the States?
Yeah, we did Rosfest. 2017, so it was the last time we came to the States. It's very difficult to get visas now.
I know, so it's expensive as hell. I know.
We were very lucky in that the festival paid for everything. So if they hadn't paid for everything, I don't know how we would have done it. They were incredible. They were just the coolest festival. George from Rosfest is such a cool dude. And
where'd you travel in the States?
It was in Gettysburg,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Amazing area, beautiful area.
Yeah.
And the people were so nice, and it's amazing to go to another country and people have got your records, and they're into it, which is incredible.
That is cool, man. I could imagine that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just mad. It's just absolutely mad. People were so kind to us and so nice, and we were so impressed. So I hope we get to come back. But if anything, in the interim, the 2 years, it's even harder to get back in now. And
I know.
And it's not going to get any better, I don't think, for the short term. It might get better in a few years, though. I mean, it might be 5 years' time, things are completely different. So, but it seems to be, and it's the same in our country, things are getting more and more insular at the moment. So it's very difficult to sort of work out where it's going, to be honest.
My wife, when we got married, she had dual citizenship for a while, but she gave it up because she said, I'm not, we got kids, I'm not moving back there.
Yeah, of course.
She gave it up, but now because her mom's getting older and it takes so long to get in, she's trying to get her citizenship in England back again. Her dual, they are giving her such a hard time, and she's born there. She's born in Dunstable Hospital. I mean, it's not like she's like her whole family's from there, and it's like so difficult. It's crazy, man.
It's absolute madness. I think. The immigration, I mean, there's lots of UK festivals being cancelled because bands can't get into the country, which is bizarre. I mean, I just think that we learn so much when we learn from people from all around the world. I think we can learn you know, every time you get the opportunity to like have a conversation like this, I've learned loads. Because
And so have I.
It's really important, and you learn, don't you? Learning is what keeps makes the world a better place.
Yes.
And I think 100%. The more people you can meet from different cultures, the more you can, you know, the more you can learn. It's nothing to be frightened of. But I think by blocking out, you know, especially musically, I mean, the most exciting music comes from
limited as it is the opportunity to go out and hear live music. You know, people coming in that they're making, you know, they're one of the few things that is an art form that like makes you know, what else can you do that can make 30,000 people feel good at the same time? You know, not many art seriously,
not many things. No, it's
pretty cool.
It's magic. It's properly magical. It's really fantastic. You know, that thing with your hairs in your arm and all that stuff, and you know, the hairs on the back of your neck when you're excited about music. It's fantastic, and that feeling of all being together, lifting, and it's like going to a football match where everyone's on the same side. It's fantastic. But so that's the thing of I just don't want to lose that. I think that culture we learn more from other people than we can ever lose. And I think that, you know, it's a shame that it's so hard to get into different countries now, and the visa situation is difficult for everybody. So yeah, it's a shame.
Have you been to the States on your own outside of with the band?
No, I've not done the States solo. I mean, once again, it's just whether if the festival comes along and wants to put us on, or put me on solo, I'll do it tomorrow. But it's just a question of you've got to get someone to sponsor you in now. I mean, I would never take the chance of just trying to get in without. I've talked to people who've done it without a visa, but it's not worth getting all the way to the States and then getting sent home. It's just
God, no, it's just misery.
And so, but I know people it's happened to, and you know, it was hard enough doing it and having a visa, because it was quite scary going through the controls and stuff. Blimey. I mean, we're not used to people with guns in this country. I mean, gentlemen.
But wait a minute. When in the airport in England, they offer.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
they don't just have guns, man. They have like fucking
the machine guns. Yeah.
They have like some like, you know, war field. You know, like stuff that you bring on television.
It's a little bit scary. But going through US customs with a guitar is quite scary. It was quite scary. But they were lovely. You know, no issues. It was fine. But it was still. I still find it very nerve wracking.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Because you always. Yeah, I guess. You know what? When I say Desert Island discs, you know what I mean by that, but not singles. You guys have I mean, see the Desert Island albums, because in England I know there's a show called Desert Island Discs, and they're talking about individual songs. So give me your top 3 Desert Island albums.
I don't know. Sugar, Copper, Blue. That's a great record. I don't know. I listen to so many different things. It's very hard to sort of. Carcass, Necroticism. That's very good. State of the Art Death Metal album from 1991. And what should I have today?
Carcass,
this would change
Necrosis. That is the name of the record.
Necroticism by Carcass, which is a death metal album from the early 90s, which I've listened to obsessively.
This is like all 3 of your albums are going to be first for me that I've ever heard.
The Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, probably. Oh no, Radiohead OK Computer, because I listen to it obsessively. So.
What a dichotomy there. Sugar, Carcass, and Radiohead. Let's like
Radiohead OK, because it's my favorite. They're my favorite band. So
they're a great band, man. Yeah, they're a great band. Did you see that thing like on the internet a few weeks ago? Like somebody stole all these 18 old.
Yeah. And they put it up for download, didn't they?
Yeah,
so
they were
so cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. But the thing is, like, I didn't get excited on that because usually, if it's stuff that's not released, there's usually a reason. Yeah. Not being funny, it's usually not.
No, you're right.
You know.
Well, they said themselves it's of marginal interest. I mean, I listened to them bits and bobs of each one. You know, there's 18 discs, so you know, I'm a busy man. I haven't got time to go through each one. But the bits I listened to were really cool. It was interesting to hear, you know, it's a bit like, you know, the Beatles anthology.
Yes.
You know, when you're sort of hearing the rough version and stuff. There's nothing on there that I heard. I thought that should have been out.
Right.
But there was some stuff. It was a bit like the Benz era version of Radiohead playing the OK Computer era of radio. So it was like the early, you know, it wasn't anywhere near as polished or as exciting as the OK Computer stuff, but it was certainly of interest. But there was nothing on there that I thought, oh, that's better than the album. The album is, as they released it, is pretty much perfect. You know, and it's the greatest sort of progressive rock album of the 90s. So,
Yeah.
and I think you want to talk about bands being, my definition, there's two definitions of progressive rock. One of them is pretending to be it's the 1970s, or the definition that bands like King Crimson and Radiohead, which is to continually develop the sound and to keep trying new things, which is exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
Aphex Twin is progressive rock as far as I'm concerned, because it's that thing of trying new things all the time. You know, Black Flag's done it, and Bob Mole did that, and so have Radiohead. And I think that's in Cripple Black Phoenix do that, because
those guys are. Let me tell you, man. I think it's such a crime that his catalog. And who I'm talking about,
awesome,
listening, Triple Black Phoenix. I had Justin Greaves on, he's the leader and founder, and like just a
lovely
musical genius and a lovely guy. But
he's lovely. Yeah.
Why they are not? I mean, to me, I listen to them, and they're like, when I say Pink Floyd, their music is involved. It's totally different music, but it's you got 8-minute song, very involved. Not easy to produce, and he's doing this like he's not doing this in a gigantic studio. No, he's just a genius, and
like they're one of those bands that you always play to people and people sort of think, how are they not bigger? But music industry is a strange place, and
because
what I mean?
You have to. We talked about that, and Justin said to me, he goes, Craig, why don't you think I'm bigger? I said because, and I was honest. I said, there's a certain template you have to follow nowadays.
Yeah.
And that template involves you being on social media and you being visible, and that's not who you are, man. He's
a very nice guy, but that's not his style, what I mean?
He has zero interest in which I get and I respect, but that's the reason why not saying the reason, but that's what you need to do nowadays. But
you'll find we've opened for Cripple Black Phoenix, and we know their audience, and their audience are cool as they were so kind to us. But they are people into Cripple Black Phoenix really into it. They love them.
Oh,
so
I wish they would.
They've got that
here, I'd love to see.
Same thing again. Though, getting the visa for a band like them is a nightmare unless they can get a festival to put them on. The other thing is there's a lot of them as well. They're quite a big lineup live as well. So they'd be quite expensive to bring in. So unless they can get one of the festivals to sort of pay for the visa, bring them over, there's a very little chance they'll be able to do it. And and also before Just even started, you have to fly in. The guitarist comes in from another country. You have to pull that band together from across the country. It's a very difficult thing for him to do. And I've got the utmost respect for the dude. He's somebody amazing, who's just he just devoted his life to it, and growing it and working, and he's just.
And he's such a good guitar player too. And you talk to him, and he's awesome, he's like,
he's got no. Yeah,
he's like, nah, guitar really isn't my thing. I'm like, it is, man. You need to listen to yourself, because that's why I got turned on to the band, and he's always been like that. So I've been a fan of theirs for as long as they've been around.
If you ever get a chance to see them live, they're fantastic.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I'd love to see them live, man.
And there's a really good vibe in the room because the crowd are so into it as well. And it was just, I mean, a friend, I've known them for 8 or 9 years, and they've always been really kind to me and really and all those guys. And so it's that's always had a really really supportive, and they're a much bigger band than we are, and they don't need to, but they've just been really nice to me. So
he's just
I'd love to see them do more. But it's a very difficult thing to do.
Hugely talented guy. Sugar, Carcass, Radiohead. I got to look up that. Necroticism. Wow.
Yeah, it's very metal. Very metal. I grew up metal.
Most important things you've learned about yourself.
That every day you wake up. It's a massive cliche, but nothing will teach you this like about cancer. That every day you wake up is a bonus, and there's every day you wake up you've got to say thank you, because you might it's a terrible cliche, but it's one of those things that I've always heard people say, oh, every day is a bonus, isn't it? And I always thought, well, no, I've got this to deal with, I've got this to do. But after you've been through something like that, you just think, yeah, it is. It's a bloody miracle. I'm still here. And when I'm talking to people, it's like, I'm just glad. And I said to you, mate, I'm just glad I'm not dead. I'm just glad now I can still keep, and being on stage at that festival at the weekend with, we're playing Croatian Conformity, Wolf Mother, Carlisi Astronaut.
I know that.
Oh, they're brilliant. Yeah. So it's a massive festival for us to do. And but the other guys are a bit nervous. I was like, I'm not really nervous. I'm just pleased to be here. I'm just pleased. I'm not in a hospital bed.
Nothing's going to make you nervous for the rest of your life at this.
But then someone said to me the other day, it's like, are you worried about this? Not really. I mean, if you can deal with cancer, you can deal with anything. But then again, I had really dark days and really waking up at 4 a.m. worrying about stuff. So I'm not saying that I'm some super dude, but it certainly takes the edge off things a bit.
No, I totally get it, man. It's funny, man.
I'm sure your missus is the same. It's like, well,
I think
not too.
Anybody who's been through any kind of traumatic, severely traumatic experience, I think is like that, because you just sort of like, I've seen some bad shit and I got through it, it's going to be real tough to scare me out more than that. But what's funny is what you just said. If you go to my Facebook, it says right on there, I think it says every day is a gift.
Yeah, man.
I believe that, man. The same thing, it's like
you genuinely don't.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed, man. Nothing's.
No, it's like, last year, I mean, I didn't see that coming at all. I was just so busy working, doing all the social stuff for the new record and trying to set up press and trying to do all that. And then all of a sudden, one day I got sick and I was like, oh, and they, a normal day. And the next thing you got a doctor saying to you, this is what quite possibly is, and you need to do this straight, and it was like, wow.
You're like, wait a minute, man, we just got the new album just dropped.
Yeah. but suddenly that doesn't seem quite so important anymore. Oh, no, we've not got the review. I went, oh well.
It changed your perspective a little bit.
Yeah. The things that suddenly become important is my wife all right? Is my son all right?
Yeah, of course.
That's straight away. It makes you realise what's important as well, to be honest. So.
Yeah, and to be honest, it took me a good 5 years minimum till I didn't wake up thinking about it every day. And then after 5 years, maybe it was like every other day.
Exactly.
So, and then it probably took 10 years till I was totally like.
Totally, yeah.
And I still, once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lingering thing. It's pretty.
So you certainly don't take things for granted in the same way anymore. Definitely.
No, definitely not, man. Best childhood memory.
Going on holiday with my parents, really, and just having time, just at the seaside when I was a kid. Really, it's cool.
Everybody goes to the seaside in England.
It's great.
That's a good thing. Yeah. It's funny that your dad was a butcher. Is that an occupation anymore? Because
it's not anymore. No. When my dad worked in butchery all his life, and then he had to go work in a factory because the butchers all were taken in. It all became part of the
the local supermarkets.
Yeah, supermarkets. But if you go around London now, there are a lot of sort of craft brewers, craft butchers, craft cheese people. So sort of tailored for the esoteric hipster end of the market.
It's the hipsters got to like
moustaches and esoteric cheese. You know what I mean?
It's the same way here in the States, man. It's like they have these
penny farthing bikes and that sort of thing.
They have these really wealthy neighborhoods like in Manhattan, and then they'll have a store that you'd see in the ghetto, and it's really popular. Authentic food, it's like $20 a plate. Authentic, Mexican food or whatever, it's like $4. What are you talking about?
We used to have around here. I mean, I live in North London, and if you used to see a tent in the green out, there's a green out there. You think there'd been a murder, but now it's someone selling cheese. It's so strange. It's the whole area has changed so much, and there's. Originally there was a lot of artists where I live, and now it's my neighbours now are like a surgeon and a political activist and media people. The whole area is completely changed. So when I first moved here, it was all artists, and gentrification at a very fast rate. It's very fast. It's quite scary, really.
Yeah, it's the same thing happening all over New York, and I think every big city pretty much.
Yeah, but then the rents start going up, and then the artists can't afford to live there. So
boom, gone.
Bizarre, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Very strange, man. Happiest time in your life?
When I got over the cancer, and I realised, you know, in the last few months, over the last few weeks, have been some of the happiest times of my life, because I've been spending time with my wife and my son, and I've been doing. We went to Germany with the band, and we had so much fun, and we were treated so well. And finally, all the work we've been putting over the years starting to pay off, and you know, I still get to hang out with my wife and my son, and still do the things that I want to do. So the last few months, especially, I think after you had a health scare like that, I mean, everything just becomes, you appreciate everything so much now.
That's awesome. Man. How long have you been with your wife?
14 years.
Oh, dude, that's a long time. Oh my
Yeah.
God. No, I mean, cause like you're.
She's played with a lot.
No, but I know, but that's you know, you're a lot younger than me. That's very unusual. Congratulations to you both, man. That's
Thanks,
really
man.
nice. That's really cool. Do you have any non-musical superpowers?
No, I'm quite good at old computer games. Actually useless skill. You know, if you wanted to, you know, Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, I'm your man. I'm not. Yeah, that's about the only useful thing. When I used to, I don't drink so much now because after being sick and stuff. So
Sure.
I have to be careful what I drink. But I used to be able to down a pint in under a second. That was quite good. But that's, you know, drinking computer games I was quite good at. But you know, I still quite good at Mario Kart on the SNES. So, yeah, that's about it. Really. Mario Kart on the SNES. That's probably about it.
That's right. That's so funny. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
Not really. I don't get time. I mean, like I said, sometimes I play old computer games. Sometimes I take my family to a theme park. We like theme parks and going on roller coasters and stuff, which is cool. I just enjoy it because I don't have to think about anything. I just enjoy being in that fantasy world. So, you know, that's cool.
Great.
But
son's at a good age too. 7's like,
yeah, man.
Because he's kind of like automatic, but
I would never have done that sort of thing on my own. But with just seeing him so happy is what makes me happy. You know, I mean, just seeing him. That's the magic, isn't it?
Favorite place you traveled?
I like Germany. I thought Germany was amazing this last few days. It's so clean. The people are so nice. I mean, really like States as well. I'd love to go back to America as well, but I like Germany. Germany is really cool.
Where'd you go in Germany?
It was a festival called Freak Valley. So it was Netfen was the place. So it's not far from Cologne, I think. So somewhere, I don't know. I got a bit lost, to be honest. It's a big place here. But they had the festival was unbelievable. We turned up. They had an apartment for us. They provided all the food, all the drink. We arrived, and they were so kind to us.
Wow, that's really cool.
We were really looked after. And when you get outside the UK, it makes you realise how, you know, people respect musicians in a somewhat different way. Because normally when we turn up to a gig, it's like, where's the dressing rooms? Oh, it's the toilets, mate. And you know, I mean, it's about as good as it gets. But these guys really, really, really kind to us. Really kind to us. The promoter was amazing. So I hope we get to go and do more European festivals, really. So, you know, I'd like to tour out there because, you know, we were hoping to do a tour with Cripple Black Phoenix because just my mate and stuff, but it didn't really work out. So I hope we can do some proper touring. That's the next sort of step for us, really, after doing the festivals. So what we'll do is we'll do the festivals. We've got festivals in the Netherlands and Italy next year, and then we'll start to link them up by touring. You know, once you've got a foothold in the country, you can start to think about touring it. So the same as we've done in the UK, really. So we did all the festivals in the UK, and now we can sell out Manchester and London, probably Bristol. You know what I mean? So we do sort of enough to do sort of 4 or 5 gigs in the UK and sell those out alongside our festivals and stuff. So we've kind of built it in the UK, and there's a question of doing the same with Europe. Once we've got Europe set up, we can start thinking, well, can we? You know, my friend's band Haken. You read of Haken?
No.
They're like a British progressive rock band, but they started touring in the States fairly recently, and they've finally got to the point where they can do it. But it took them, you know, years and years to build that up. So
that's great.
It's a question of gradually, very slow progress. Just keep going slowly to build it up.
And maybe you can get under. Maybe you could open up for those guys or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the way it works. You know, get on a good opening tour and just keep building it and keep building it and keep doing what we've been doing for years. Really.
Just so you know, at least a third of the musicians I interview say the same thing. They tour throughout Europe in the summertime, actually all through the winter even. And you know, from like late spring throughout the end of the winter. And they all say the same thing, that here in the States, it tends to be more like, what have you done for me lately? And it sounds like the same thing in the UK. Whereas over there, they, in other countries, in not in the States, not in England, you're more honored for your craft. And it, you know, they don't care, what have you done for me lately? They say, man, this guy's got or this lady's got a body of work, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, you know, like Jennifer Batten, what an amazingly talented guitar player.
Phenomenal guitar
You know,
player.
and she's always, you know, all over the world, and because she's respected there. It's just really tough here. I don't know why we're like that.
It's the same in the UK. The UK is very difficult. I mean, it seems, as far as I understand, it seems, you know, you get outside of the UK things, but you know, we've got a really good following in the UK. We've had a great time in the UK doing all the festivals and that, so I can't complain. But they certainly treat you somewhat differently in Europe, definitely.
Yeah. Have you done Japan or anything like that?
No, I'd love to do Japan.
Yeah, that's a pretty good place.
That's on the list. We've got an audience in a small, very loyal audience in Japan. I'd love to play Japan because there's a big audience for sort of, especially instrumental music. It's quite big in Japan. But I know people have done it. I would love to do it. That'd be one of the coolest places to play.
That would be cool. Hey, last question, Matt, and I can't thank you enough for your time. And,
oh, man, it's been so cool talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Man.
Thank you for sharing all your stories, and I'm so happy that everything's okay with your health.
Yeah, it's not. Hopefully, there's no tragic ending coming. Hopefully, so.
No, absolutely not. No, not at all. Only good stuff here. And you've kind of answered this. But what the biggest change in your personality over the last few years?
Well, yeah, like I say, going through quite a heavy health scare was in some ways quite good for me. I mean, I've always been, you know, I've always tried to be positive, but I've always, you know, like I say, having something like that happen to you makes you realise how lucky you are, and how that, you know, that everything isn't guaranteed and everything. You know, oh, I haven't got to go and do this. Like, well, I'd much rather be going to do something I don't particularly like than being dead or being ill or being, you know what I mean? So it makes you appreciate everything and makes you realise how lucky you are. So I've learned, my personality is I've learned gratitude, and I've lost a bit of arrogance perhaps, and, you know, and I don't take things for granted. And I appreciate
that's what I wrote down. Doesn't take things for granted, man. No, that comes through loud and clear. I mean, you just no bullshit. You've been such a humble, sweet, nice person since I spoke to you when we set this up. You know, man, you've been just a pleasure to talk to, and I really appreciate someone like you that's like just a genuine person and doesn't take things for granted. So thank you, man. It's been real good. Let me tell people where to find you. First of all, it's Matt Stevens. He's a lead guitar player for the Fierce and the Dead. What I'd like you to do is go to the Fierce and the Dead on Bandcamp, and it's real simple. TFATD, as in the Fierce and the Dead.bandcamp.com. Also, Matt's got a bunch of 4 solo records out. His last one is called Lucid. They're all on any place you could stream and buy records. Go check them out. It's really good music, especially if you're into prog and alternative voicings, alternative style of music. They're also on Facebook at facebook.com, Fierce and the Dead. Well, just got to look up Fierce and Dead. He's got a couple of groups there, and you should join them both.
Loads of stuff there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in there. And go to Instagram, the Fierce and the Dead as well. And if you are in England and you haven't been hip to Matt and the Fierce and the Dead, check them out. Go support them on tour. Tell them you heard his interview and tell them what a good guy he is, and wish him lots of good health and happiness to you and your family forever, brother. Anything I missed? Anything I forgot?
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man.
Likewise,
thank you so much.
And your next record you come back on and we'll promote your new record, man.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Open, brother. Let me wrap up. Hang on there. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this interview, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Subscribe to the show. Check out the YouTube channel. What else? Thanks again to Matt Stevens and the Fierce and the Dead for coming on the show and being such a great guy. And we want to wish him the best of health and love and luck forever. And that's it. Make sure you get to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely, as I'm about to spit all over the place. Sorry. My British wife would be horrified if she just saw me doing that, wiping my mouth. Anyway, happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play a guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much.